What's up, everybody? Monday night, 7:30. Wrapping up week one of the NFL here, and obviously here on the 410 in Maryland. A lot of fans looking to jump off of the tallest building that we have here as the Ravens blow yet another double-digit lead under Harbaugh, lose 41-40 to the Bills. Quite frankly, I fell asleep when it was 40-25, and the Ravens seemed to be having their way. So just wanted to get on here, kind of give my thoughts of the game this season, and obviously, if you follow me on Twitter, you kind of know, my reputation and my thoughts on the Ravens. So do get called a Ravens hater, and again, I don't know how many times to reiterate this. I'm not. I really, really want this team to win. I will admit that the stands, the idiots, do make it harder to root for this team because I don't want them to be right about anything because they're so off the wall. That being said, you know, I live and breathe Baltimore sports and, want the Ravens to go to the Super Bowl. But, was getting in the debate with everybody here today and kind of brought this up, last year and at the beginning of this year. It's like, what does this regular season what meaning does it have for us Baltimore fans out there? You know what I mean? Like, what haven't we seen that's going to get us all excited and believing? You know what I mean? For me, yes, this loss hurts, but we've seen the same script so many times. I mean, we know they're going to come out and they're going to bludgeon some bad teams. They're going to bludgeon some good teams. They're going to have a head scratching loss to like a Cleveland or a Miami. Maybe not Miami. Miami sucks, but a team that they have no business losing to, where they score like 17 points. Lamar has his worst game. Everything goes wrong, and it puts us kind of behind the eight ball, from getting the number one seed. So, you know, the regular season, I don't know how to break it to people. You don't need to get upset or, you don't need to get overly optimistic about it, right? Whatever happens in the regular season, we've seen, right? What are we going to see them be the number one seed and dominate? Saw that in 2019. Lamar won MVP, 14-2, team dominated. Guess what happened? You all know what happened, right? First game playoff loss at home to the number 6 seed. So we saw a dominant regular season. We saw a dominant regular season in 2023. Won a playoff game against a rookie quarterback at home. Had Patrick Mahomes at home, and we were a field goal favorite, 3.5, depending on what book you got, and we laid an egg at home. So we've seen two dominant regular seasons. We saw Lamar go for 41-4 last year. Probably should have won MVP. We know that's a sensitive subject here in Baltimore, even though they don't care about MVP. They just care about winning the Super Bowl. But he had the best year. Maybe he duplicates that, maybe not. But we saw an insane year from the quarterback, and we saw a 2,000-yard rusher, and we saw a team that on paper looked like the best team in football by a mile, despite their record. So we've seen all that. We've seen all that in the regular season. And guess what we've seen? Playoff exits where we won one game or 0 games and yet to reach a Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson, with Derrick Henry, with Zay Flowers, with Marlon Humphrey, yada, 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 yada. The best roster in football last year, the best roster in football this year. What are we going to get from the regular season? How can I be excited to be like, oh my God, 15-2, we dominated teams. Yay. Like, okay, cool. We saw that. You know, it's been the revenge tour for 5 years now. Okay. Every year it's next year we'll get it fixed. It'll be revenge and wait till next year we're gonna do it. We added this player, wait till next year we're gonna do it. How many revenge tours can you have? I think we're going on year 5 of revenge tours. Our revenge tour started last night. Somehow a playoff game loss. Beating the Bills in the regular season would have been revenge, but I digress on that. That's stupid. But why does the regular season matter? Like, yes, obviously you don't want the team to lose, and we've seen them get the number one seed, and they lost to the Titans at home as a 10-point favorite, and they lost to the Chiefs when they were favored. And maybe Patrick Mahomes' worst team that he's had on paper, and they came in and they lost that game. So, Green Day has a song out that's, Green Day has a song that came out years ago called "Wake Me Up When September Ends," right? Well, wake me up in January when anything changes with this team. And again, I want them to be great. They're going to be great in the regular season. They're going to look super, super dominant. Everyone's going to get excited. See, this is our year. This year's going to be different. This year's going to be different. This year's going to be different. I just ask you how. Explain to me how it's going to be different and how you, as a Ravens fan who's watched this team game in and game out, year in and year out, how you can think with a rational mind, oh, this year is going to be different. Your running back isn't likely going to rush for 2,000 yards again. I mean, he might if he plays the Bills defense every single time. But yeah, he was a beast last night. Very unlikely, and this isn't a slight on him, that Lamar's going to go for 41-4 again. If he does, okay, but you saw two generationally great years last year, and we still couldn't get the job done. So, yeah, just being a Baltimore sports fan, we can't have nice things. I will say the alternative of being like the worst team in football, and not competing year in and year out would be, I think, by far worse. But it's almost the same thing as with the Steelers being in purgatory, like the Steelers getting in and not winning a playoff game, but still getting in the playoffs, not sucking enough to get a high draft pick, but not having a chance at a Super Bowl. We're just slightly a game better than them. So we're doing the same thing that they're doing, but with a worse draft pick, So you absolutely don't want to tank. You absolutely don't want to lose. You don't want to be one of the worst teams out there. But I don't think people realize, you've got money tied up in Roquan. You're going to have a ton of money for Lamar's cap hit coming up. You just signed Kyle Hamilton to a long-term deal. You've got money tied up that you're not going to be able to keep all these pieces. And if you're not doing it this year, and you couldn't do it last year, how many more years do you have left to keep? Oh, well, it'll be another revenge tour. So, I know it's frustrating, but I just ask you guys out there, don't get too high or too low in the regular season, right? Like, we've seen the script before, and I could pretty much tell you exactly what's going to happen. And until I'm wrong, I'm going to go with it. So we'll see the Ravens come out. I'm torn on this game, right? Like, I think it could be that random week 2 loss like we did to the Raiders, the Colts, maybe Cleveland comes out and gives us a game or we bludgeon them, right? But you're going to see the Ravens look like by far the best team in football, like they did maybe for 3 quarters, but put it all together on the offensive and defensive end multiple times. They'll probably do against the Lions and just destroy them in week 3. And everyone's going to be like, this is our year. This is our year. This is our year. This year's going to be different. This year's going to be different. Okay, well, last year was supposed to be different. 2023 was going to be different. 2022, you see the pattern here? Each year was supposed to be different. That was supposed to be the year. And then we get excited about the regular season. And then we buy in the hype coming in the playoffs that's going to be different. And guess what? Nothing. So until we can beat the Bills, until we can beat the Chiefs, none of this stuff matters. Okay? And, quite frankly, I don't think people, yes, it's a regular season game. The confidence that this team says that they don't have. You can't go into Buffalo, keep losing the games the way that you're losing, keep blowing games the way that you're doing it, and fully go in and expect to think that you're going to win. You just can't. And Buffalo knows they own us in the playoffs. Kansas City knows they own us in the playoffs. They're not scared of them. And Cincinnati, we own them in the regular season, but I don't want to play them. So, just a couple of thoughts there, back and forth on, kind of the regular season. I'm not saying don't watch. Obviously, we all love football. We're going to be all emotionally invested every Sunday. But I tell you this, and you can call me a hater, you can call me an idiot. The regular season means absolutely nothing. Who cares what this team does? 16-1. What difference is that going to make? Okay, cool. Well, we'll host playoff games. Well, guess what? We hosted playoff games 2 other times. Lost them both with Lamar, right? So 3 other times, but I'm not counting the Chargers. Lost because that was his rookie year. So we were the 1 seed twice. Lost both of those games at home. One we scored 10 points, lost 17-10. The other one we scored 12 points. So, okay. Well, yeah. Well, we'd rather play Buffalo. We look good against them. Okay. Well, we just scored 40 points and lost to them. We lost in Buffalo twice already. So, what's going to change this time? Oh, well, I saw something that said, well, we would have beaten them without Flowers. Like, we didn't have Flowers in the playoffs last year. Maybe, but we had him this game. We had Monday night. And did we beat them? Okay. Well, we'll beat them if we have Likely. Okay. Well, they were missing two defensive backs. So, what's going to change? What's going to change? Like, we're going to be coming up with reasons to think, oh, this year's gonna be different for the Ravens. This year's gonna be different for the Ravens. This year's gonna be different for the Ravens. I want it to be. Until I see otherwise, it ain't gonna be. I'm gonna watch regular season. I'm gonna see them come out and crush teams. They're gonna finish 11-5, 11-6. Sorry, 12-5, 11-6. Clinch the division. Not play anyone week 18. Be one game behind Buffalo. Maybe a game behind Kansas City for whatever seed it is. They're going to come out and bludgeon a team like the Jaguars or whoever sneaks into some wild card. It's going to be an unexpected team. The Patriots, the Jets, like the Jags, the Raiders, some random the Colts, some upstart team that's going to have to come to Baltimore. They're going to lose like 37-3, 37-6. Then we all know that the Ravens are going to then be everybody's darlings. The pundits are all going to pick them because yes, as much as the flock thinks that everybody hates us, people are going to pick the Ravens. They love the Ravens. Ravens will be 2.5, 3, 1.5 point favorites on the road in either Buffalo, Kansas City, Cincinnati, wherever. In the AFC divisional game, they're going to go in and they're going to lose in heartbreaking fashion. We know it. Okay? So spare me during this 18-game season with this year's going to be different. This year's going to be different. This year's going to be different because I'm going to call you out because it's not going to. How is it going to be different? I understand having hope. You can be cautiously optimistic, but don't go all spouting in the mouth. This year is going to be different. It's not. It wasn't after week one. And what's going to change? I'm waiting. What's going to change? You think that they're going to fire their coach midseason? That ain't going to happen. You think all of a sudden, like, I mean, we saw the defense struggle and then the defense step up and look great. And guess what? We saw them make the AFC Championship. How can the defense play really any better than they did the second half of last year? Well, they didn't, right? They don't play well against good mobile quarterbacks that can move. Allen's eating them up. Mahomes eats them up. They're great against bad quarterbacks. Well, in the playoffs, when you play Russell Wilson, of course, when you play CJ Stroud in his rookie year with no other weapons, like Stroud's a good quarterback, but you see my point here. So until something changes, I'm out. Like, I'm out on thinking things are going to be different. Still going to watch it. Still going to hope that they're going to be different. But you won't catch me betting on them in the AFC divisional game. I fell for it last year. 2 years ago, I was on point with I bet Kansas City money line and Kansas City in the points. Now that out at the bar with a bunch of Ravens fans and was the only one with money on Kansas City, and they called me an idiot. No, I did was collect because I knew the Ravens' history. I knew that there was no way they were winning that game. I fell for it last year in Buffalo when I thought things are going to be different. Things are going to be different. Look at our roster compared to the Bills roster. Look at our roster. We're way better. So what? We are. Okay. We lost. Oh, well, if Andrews doesn't drop that, well, guess what he did? Oh, if Andrews doesn't, well, guess what he did? Oh, if Lamar doesn't, well, guess what he did? Oh, well, if Zay played, well, guess what? Zay played and we just lost. Oh, well, we'll have Mike Green this year. Okay. We had a ton of sacks last year. We had two guys with over 10 sacks. We had Kyle Hamilton last year, had him this year. Marlon Humphrey last year, had him this year. Had Nate Wiggins last year, had him this year. Oh, Jair Alexander, when we get him, it's over for the league. It's over for the league. Well, who looked the worst on the defense last? And granted, yes, it's one game, okay, but we have DeAndre Hopkins. Hey, phenomenal catch. How many other catches do they have? What's going to be different this year? I ask you that. So We're all gonna watch Sunday. Joe Flacco coming to town. We're gonna hopefully beat the crap out of them. It's a 12.5 point line. So I might kind of take take Cleveland in those points, but we'll take the Ravens and Survivor probably for sure. But even if the Ravens lose this game, we've seen that script before. You know, we'll wake up in January. They'll be in the AFC divisional round. They'll be favored on the road in Kansas City, favored on the road in Buffalo. We're gonna be watching TV. Oh, we're gonna be so pumped. Saturday night, Lamar versus Mahomes. This is the Ravens year. This is Ravens year. Oh, NBC, they all picked us. NBC, they all picked us. Guess what? We lose on a field goal that hits off the upright, or we lose on whatever, and watch Kansas City go to the Super Bowl again, or watch Buffalo maybe go to the Super Bowl for their first time in forever. So, Ravens, love you. The flock, hate you guys because you're all idiots, but yeah, I know you're gonna think things are different. You're gonna call it revenge tour number 5.5, revenge tour number 6, whatever. Wake me up in January when things change. I'm still gonna be watching, but I'm smart enough to know that things ain't different. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, right? So you've seen the Ravens do the same things over and over again, and we let our minds think that things were, going to be different. So technically, we're all insane, right? So beat the hell out of Cleveland. It can beat the hell out of the Lions. 12-5 year, 13-4 year. Finish one game behind them, lose in the divisional round. Sadly, like clockwork, and then there'll be some questions to answer about the coach and about, if you just completely overhaul this organization. Because if you ain't getting there with this roster, you ain't getting there. So hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm making a video on January saying things were different, but we'll see. So thanks for listening. Obviously not a fun time to be a Ravens fan, but 17 more of these games, 17 more times for us to get our hopes up, thinking it's going to be different. So, again, I hope you guys call me an idiot come January because we're holding up a Super Bowl trophy and things were different. And I will gladly eat crow there. So, have a good night. Go Ravens. And, thanks for letting us down as always. Appreciate it.